Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Baghead's Gundam Adventure, Gundam Reaction, Gundam Allies Experience. Yes, this is the first episode of a series where I finish a Gundam show and I talk about it in certain segments, and I try to explain it, and I also tell my own subjective opinions about thematics, characters, aesthetics, and closing remarks where I talk about even more like how I suggested, how do I like feel about it in the end, stuff like that. Before I start this video and all of the videos in the series will have spoilers about the show that I'm analyzing. So this episode will have spoilers about Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam 1979 or 0079. So if you're interested in this show, before you watch this video, I will suggest you watch Mobile Suit Gundam 1979. If that's done, now let's get to the video. So the first thing I want to talk about is thematics. What is the theme of Gundam? For before that, I want to shortly talk about what Gundam is. So in Universal Century 0079, it's not clarified if it's 1979 or 2079. Like it is just said 0079. In Universal Century 0079, there are people who live on Earth and there are people who live on space. And people who live on space had children, which some of them has certain capabilities that can surpass normal humans in certain areas. I will get on that more in a later segment. One day in UC 79, the current leaders of the space colonies, aka Principality of Zeon, and the Principality of Zeon's leaders, which is the Zabi family. The old guy is the Begrim Zabi, and then we have like Giran Zabi, the big guy is the Doza Zabi, the little guy is Garma Zabi, and we have Kaisilia Zabi, the only daughter, suddenly created a war between Earth and space sides. It was Principality of Zeon against the Earth Federation. Principality of Zeon is known for its war crimes and having bajillion variants of mobile suits, which I will talk about later. And when it comes to war crimes, one of the events that are shown in the intro of the anime is the colony drop, which Xeon drops a space colony with people in it onto Australia. This destroys both the colony and Australia altogether. And they couldn't care less other than reaching their goal, which for Zabi family is just gaining more power and being able to control Earth as well as space. The Earth Federation is trying to stop this from happening, but they aren't that good either. While these two sides are fighting each other, our main boy here, the 14-year-old boy Amore, who loves tinkering with mechanics, finds his father working on a prototype mobile suit called Gundam because Earth Federation was struggling against Xeon in the first few years of the battle because they had mobile suits before them. They couldn't. The Earth Federation could only use fighter jets or similar like tanks or technology similar to that. They had fleets and stuff. So Amuro sees the Gundam. The war comes to his colony, and then he hops into the Gundam, fights some Zaku's. He enters the White Base, which is the Trojan horse. It's nicknamed by Zeon, and They leave this space colony side 7 or side 5 or something. I can't remember which side it was. And that's where the anime kicks off. We watch the White Base crew's adventures while being chased by Zeon. They're aligned with Earth Federation and their fight against Xeon in this alliance, their operations, the characters that's shown in these, the new enemy mobile suits that are shown in the episodes, how Armor Ray deals with the war, how Armor Ray, a knife boy, yeah, grows and matures through this battlefield. And in general, the theme of Gundam is that the overarching theme is that we see that there's no good guys and the war is horrible. Let's go on that real quick. So, first of all, the war is horrible. We see how dire times are by seeing, like, oh, there's women in the military, there's children as young as 14, 19, being soldiers, piloting mobile suits in this battlefield. And there's what I mean by there's no good guys is that, oh yeah, the horrors of war is, of course, as well, the sacrifices, the deaths and stuff like that, how simple rivalry can become a blood rivalry, how stuff can get personal really badly, how simple quarrels can turn into fights and stuff like that. What I mean by the war crimes and stuff, basically, we there's no good guys thing is, Xeon. Okay, Xeon has Charles Noble, their ace, a guy with high kill count. They have the Zabi family, which uh, literally dropped a colony on Earth just to reach their goal of gaining more power. They made so many mobile suits just to kill innocent life while killing Federation with gigantic quote marks. I'm saying this with and yes, they're basically evil. We can tell that. Like you can tell that Xeon is not that good at all. But then in Earth Federation is also sees most of his soldiers as like tools. They don't see them as humans. Like in one of the episodes when a character dies, they only tell like we're gonna promote them. There won't be any 1 minute silence. There's no a remembrance statue, like maybe a museum about their vehicles, but like there won't be stuff like to remember them. Their remains won't even like anything. We won't let the loved ones know this. Like it's like they don't care about the sacrifices made just trying to win this war. They just move on, move along. We have to win this war. We don't care how we feel. Like even Earth Federation has its flaws, and between these two sides, we see White Base Crew and Armory trying to survive and trying to end this war as fast as possible. So that's the thematics of Gundam. Short wise, horrors of war, and there's no good sides, there's no good guys in Gundam, and just people and their relationships between them and their fight for survival and ending a horrible war that goes on for a year. This is called the 1 year war in the Gundam, and it is a gigantic war with a bunch of fronts, and it goes through space and ground battles. Like it is gigantic, and there was a bunch of other stories made with 1 year war stuff. And in this war, we also go on the relationship between these two characters right here. I'm gonna talk about them later on, but like short while, Charles Noble and Amor Race has also gigantic roles in the thematics. We see these two characters meeting and how their rivalry transforms through the episodes. And that was the thematics. Let's go to the next segment. So, the characters segment is the segment I want to talk a lot about because how Gundam deals with its characters is quite interesting. Why I say interesting? Because every character you see, like almost every character you see in this show, has characterization, depth, and none of them are shadow. Like just maybe the most like background characters are like simple, but like even then, like there are characters who appear for single episodes or two or three episodes, or maybe at most like 5 episodes there we see side characters appearing, or there are overarching side characters that appear all through show but they're just side and like they don't have that much screen time. Yet we see these characters' story, these characters' relationship and interactions with other characters in the show, what their goals are, what their significant and unique features are, what describes like what's their behavior, etc., etc. I can give an example of it by talking about Shalia Bull. Shalia Bull is a character from Jupiter, which is a Xeon soldier and a pilot, and is a new type. New type is, as I mentioned before, are space colony children that have certain special abilities to them. And even though this character only appears for a single episode, we already like see his history. We see what his goals are in Xeon. We see how he interacts with Char Aznable, the main Xeon Ace pilot, the Red Comet, and we see how he interacts with his other comrades, other side characters, which just gives him depth and humanizes him more. We see the white base crew having daily talks, daily chats. We see them joke around each other. We see characters like Kai Shiden being a snarky jerk type of character, and we see how other characters interact with him. We see how Amuro interacts with Bright Noah or with his love interest, if that happens. And we also, with these interactions, we also see arcs. Characters grow up in Gundam. Basically, even a side character like, as I mentioned, Kai Shiden has his own arc where he deals with something really bad, and that changes his way of being a coward that is annoying to now he jumps into the battle with Armor Ray to prove that he is not a coward, he's a fighter, he's serious, he's more careful around his surroundings and the people around him, and that's quite cool. And of course, the main characters, character growth are and character development are even bigger, like Amuro Ray and Char Aznables, which I want to mention with specific characters. I want to talk about in this segment. First one is Amuro Ray. Amuro Ray is our main kid. He has loving parents, but they are separate, his father being an engineer. And he suddenly finds himself piloting the Gundam, and now he's in the White Base. At first, he is kind of reluctant to kill, reluctant to do a lot for the Federation. Then, in time, we see him just counting his kills. He just counts every mobile suit he defeats, like one, two, three, four. And yes, there are moments in the show where he shows regret. The first time when an enemy wants vengeance on Amore, he feels regret. The moment when he does a gigantic mistake he cannot return from, he feels immense regret. He goes into deep depression. And when he loses a comrade in battle, a friend in battle, he shows deep pain in the following episodes. And this isn't just special to Amore. And this is also a part I really like, that characters' death or character losses, characters sacrificing themselves, or character just suddenly dying, like Lieutenant Slugger, which was added for is a character that was added for a few episodes. He died suddenly in the battle, and the regret and the mourning of people go on for few episodes. Like, it doesn't just impact the main character, it impacts all of the crew, and that is shown in the following episodes, like when Ryu sacrificed himself in this episode, which I can show right there. When Ryu sacrifices himself in the battle with Rambaral's wife, it shows the consequences of the sacrifice and how it affects the entire crew. Because, for example, Ryu was the eldest member of the group. He was a compass to the team, someone they would ask things about, someone they would ask their whereabouts, and the entire crew just shatters when he sacrifices himself and dies. And like, I like that lingers to episodes. So back to Amuro Ray. Amuro Ray has his regrets, and we even see big arcs with him, like when he visits his mother and when his mother sees what war turned his son into. we see that interaction between Amuro and his mom, and then we see Amuro visiting his dad, and we see that current interaction between them, how Amuro reacts, how much he regrets, and how he goes into depression caused by the way his parents interact with him. Like that's really interesting. That's I like how much detail put into that, and like the side characters' losses, the main characters' losses is interesting. Another character, while I'm on Amuro, I talk about is this a specific character is Lala. Lala is probably one of the most interesting parts of the Gundam series because Lala only appears in few episodes of Gundam, like maybe 5 episodes at max, and she appears very late to the show, like episode 30, I believe, or maybe like 25 to 30. And even though, as I mentioned before, even though she only appeared for a few episodes, she leaves a gigantic impact to the show's biggest two characters, which are Amuro Ray and Char Aznable. Char Aznable puts Lala to education to become a capable nuke type. He was interested in her battlefield capabilities and wanted to be her the best comrade he could ever have. And Char Aznable even had a romantic relationship with Lala. For Amuro, Amuro and Lala interacted a few times, but when he sees Lala in battlefield, he thinks that Lala is a person that fell into the wrong side, and she can join a better side that actually fights for something nice. It can not end up with her dying in the hands of the Federation, but things don't go their way, and unfortunately, Lala dies in the hands of Amuro in a fatal accident between the fight. She dies, so she sacrifices herself to protect Char Aznable, and this causes the rivalry, like regular between war enemy relation between Char and Amuro to become a blood rivalry. Like they were already thinking about defeating each other because of war, because they were opposite sides, but now they just want to end each other and like in really brutal ways because like their fight just becomes a blood rivalry. They just want hate each other a lot. Amuro regrets this one of his biggest mistakes he ever done in his life, and this stays with him for a while, and it's probably gonna follow him till forever. And this regret also gonna follow Char forever as well. Char goes into a depressive state. He gets filled with rage, but it's quite surprising that in the next episodes we see him being kind of fine, even though he mourns Lala. So I don't think he moves on fully. He just tries to suppress it because his main goal, which I'm connecting to Chan as Noble here. His main goal is he is the son of the founder of Xeon, and he thinks that his father was killed by the Zabi family, and that's why Char hates the Zabi family. At least that's what I understand from the anime. That's what it's explained so far. He wants to get rid of the Zabi family, and he wants to create a new, better world with new types, not being tools of war and being free. And Lala's loss affects him really badly. It's quite interesting to see like how this character that appeared just for a few episodes leaved such a gigantic impact to these two characters till that will probably follow them through the series as well. While I want to talk about a bit more side characters, I like how the White Base crew has almost like a in the first episode, not like that, but like through the episodes, their relationship becomes like a family relationship. Even in the first episode, which is the famous Bright Slap is from, I think this is like episode 2 or 3. He just becomes like this father figure, which disciplines people. And after Ryu is gone, he just becomes like this. Oh, I am the main father figure. I must take care of these people. I am the captain of the ship, and I have a responsibility. Like I'm telling you guys, like The character depth in Gundam goes really deep, and I like the characterization and humanization of each character. Now, I did talk about the gloom and doom of Gundam, but I kind of want to talk about some of the fun stuff. Like, I like the interaction between Char and Amuro when they meet face to face. This is still when Lala is alive. Char doesn't recognize Amuro as the pilot of the Gundam, because at this point the pilot of the Gundam was still anonymous, like ambiguous. But Amuro tells that's Char right there, and they just have a regular interaction because Amuro doesn't want to get in trouble. And we see like this, like the white base crew having data talks. We also see this human side of Char and Amuro for a brief moment, which is nice. It's nice to see that Char isn't like all battle, all war, all I will get my goal no matter what. We still see him just being a regular dude. That's quite nice. And another funny part I want to talk about is the inclusion of little toddlers. Like they're like, I believe like these three characters, little children on the ship. Basically, Frau Bo, a possible love interest of Amore, while running away from the battle in the first episode, brings Cuts, Let's, and Kika to the ship. And this adds even more to that human atmosphere of White Base Crew. Because most what we see with White Base Crew is they're chatting about war, chatting about battlefield, getting ready the mobile suits, repairing mobile suits, captain's orders and stuff. But these three adds to their daily talks even more, because now they're like, oh, we deal with children now. We they sometimes show their annoyance dealing with children, but in time, these children grow on them and they just be like adoptive parents to them. And even though they're like these children's can look like a liability, like a weakness, like a weight, no. In Gundam, these three children actually have a gigantic importance to the show in the episodes. Like one episode, they help the Federation by picking up the bombs that Zeon put on a base and getting dispose of them, like getting rid of them, like dispose of them. Or in the final episode of Gundam, huge spoilers, these three children are revealed to be new types, and they help Amuro leave the main city of Zeon, Aboakyu, before it explodes into dust. Like, even these three had a significance to the show and the other characters. That's what I love about the characterization of each member of the White Crew and each other character you see in the show. So, this was the character segment. If I want to summarize this segment, every character almost every character you see in Gundam has depth, story, their goals, their interactions with others, which is amazing. And there's always interactions between characters and side characters, which humanizes them and sees their lets you see their human side, just all daily side. And there are characters that just add some light to this doom and gloomy show, which is these three children right there. Which is I say this is a funny inclusion. Like this is a funny inclusion to like, yes, war is bad, it's horrible. It is dark times, but even then there are things to smile about. There are things that makes you happy, which I like. Characterization of Gundam is incredible. So to the next segment now. So, aesthetics segment. This segment can also have like smaller segments inside of like the scenery, the fights, the animation, and of course the heart of Gundam, the mobile suit designs. I want to say that I like how distinct the designs are between the Xeon and Earth Federation. It has that language of like, oh, this suit belongs to this side and this suit belongs to this side. Like that's quite cool. Like Earth Federation has their Jeems and Ball, which has like visors, and then there's Gundam, Gun Cannon, Gun Tank, which were in the earlier slides. And then for Xeon, it's always the Cyclops mono eye design with their different colors, their high anti flight capable ships, the Earth Federation's gigantic fleets with their Power of the Sun weapon, or the big beam rifle, the mega particle launcher of Xeon that can turn ships into crisps, or the Xeon's amphibian suits, their mobile armors such as this Grabro right there. Don't question the names; they're just like that. Or the underwater suit Zog, or the another mobile armor that is um, Big Zam, and then there's the peak design which is Gog, and etc. etc. Now, Gundam follows the Monster of the Week style, so I did make fun of Xeon having 5 million bunch of bajillion of variants of suits, but from the business side it makes sense. Like lore wise it's funny that they made this much suits, but from business side in real life, yes, they're gonna sell toys, they're gonna sell model kits, which I will mention soon, and they will sell merch. So of course, a bunch of suits mean a bunch of more toys. And when you look at some of the designs of Gundam, like the G Defensor, which is a fighter jet that combines with Gundam, it can separate and becomes its own fighter jet. And Gundam like just combines in the air. Let me show an example of that. This is a G fighter. Gundam is inside that. They separate. The G fighter becomes its own thing, and the Gundam becomes its own thing. That's that's probably one of the most toyetic looking things in Gundam, but it works. Even though the suit designs can look toyetic, they still have distinct designs, distinct features, distinct design choices, and they just make it work in the grand scheme of things. So that's pretty cool. They don't exist just to sell a toy. Like all of these suits look like capable of being a huge and large threat. And when I want to talk about is also the effects. What I mean by this is beam effects, explosion effects, and other effects similar to that. When you see a beam rifle or a beam saber weapon in these fight scenes, and man, the fight scenes of Gundam are really like it's a visual show. When you see right, I guess when you see these beam sabers clash, when you see Amuro impaling Azaku in a beam with a beam saber, when you see like this beam rifles shoot at each other, when you see the fleets explode, when you see a mobile suit explode, it just gives you like a visual tip, like, oh, these machines are very strong, and even when they explode, these can deal a bunch of damage. And what's funny is that they show the collateral damage as well. Like they show the damage of the weaponry to the mobile suits, but they also show the damage of mobile suits exploding or these weapons to environment or the people around it. And that also adds to the characterization, which makes characters more be careful about where they shoot or where they kill an enemy. And that's really good aesthetic wise. I love the effects. I love all of the hand drawn effects. They all look amazing. And even though the animation can have problems sometimes, which, if I want to elaborate, there are reuse shots in battles, and there can be copy paste shots, and there can be goofy shots that looks like animation errors in this show. I understand this. It's a 1979 show. The budget might not be not that high when they started, so I say this is fully justifiable. Like even though there are reuse of shots, even though there are animation errors, etc., etc., they make it work. They put these reuse of shots really in a well-made way. The animation errors usually not that noticeable because they like blink and you miss it scenes. Like they only appear for a short while, and even then they reuse shots. Each battle feels different. Like none of the battles look the same. Even the army or gigantic fleet battles, none of them look the same. Like maybe certain explosions or enemy defeats can look similar, but yeah, they even put the care and the work to make the battles seem distinct from each other. And that is impressive for a show of its time. That is really incredible. And of course, how can I talk about aesthetics without character designs and scenery as well? Like I said, how distinct that the each side mobile suits look. I like how each side's human army looks as well, which you can see with the characters, like how Char wears his clothes, like the way he's dressed, and then look at the Earth Federation clothes. Like you can, it also gives that feeling like it's not like good guy wears this, bad guy wears this, because the soldier uniforms are kind of similar, but like different color schemes and different patterns on them. So yeah, they're all soldiers. They have their own clothing, which is like a visual language of again telling you which side of which, what describes them the best, what their looks like known for, what features they have, kind of stuff, which is quite cool. That's the and of course the scenery, the hand drawn scenery, man, the hand drawn scenery of ground and space, and especially space with its colonies and like the Xeon main city Aboa Q in the last episode, you see it is like incredible. They are like paintings you will see in like backgrounds, like wallpaper stuff in modern day internet. Like their wallpaper word background art you see in the show. Like they are really well done, and I love the backgrounds and the scenery art in this place. Like every city has their own distinct look. Every colony has their own distinct look. Every village, every place they visit have a design and way of like look to them. And like that is quite impressive that they put a lot of work on making every place look different and each other, and it's quite nice. And even though space follows the same background, the fights in them just is a it just makes a cool visual show, visual fest with this all of these effects going around, all these beams going around, almost like a scene from Star Wars. Like it is quite impressive, and I love the aesthetics of Gundam. It's really good. So, only for this first episode, I want to also add this short segment of the global success of Gundam. Yes, Gundam peaked and it blew up in Japan, and from Japan it started to go to Western and Europe as well. Gundam became a big hit, and still to this day it's going strong. Let me open the map real quick. Gundam gave birth to a gigantic map of shows. Like it started with the Gundam, then it went to like Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta, Char's Counterattack, and Gundam Unicorn, and then Gundam Narrative F91, and then there were side stories like Stardust Memory or War in the Pocket, 8MST, and then we had alternative universe shows like Gundam Seed or Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans or Gundam X, or then we go to the end point where there's Turn A Gundam or G Savior. Like there were a lot of shows that created, and they're still making shows to this day, which the recent ones was like which were Mercury, and then the most recent release was an alternative universes century show, which was G-Quacks. It is still going strong, and it's still making incredible shows that people from all around the earth interesting in this genre watches. And of course, how can I not mention Gunpla with Gundams being a big hit? Since it first started in 79, old, no grades, and now we have real grades, perfect grades, master grades, and a new edition, entry grade, and master grades super deformed, which is like an enhanced version of super deformed SD Gundam. And these became a hobby for many, even me. I love the hobby of Gunpla. Building these little guys out of runners is one of my favorite hobbies, and Gundam Bandai still makes amazing releases to this day. And something I also want to mention, the Gundam brand also released amazing games that have that definitely captured people's hearts, like the side story games like Blue Destiny, or games of the show like Mobile Suit Gundam, or Zeta, or Unicorn, or multiplayer games such as ST Gundam Battle Alliance, Gundam Evolution, or Gundam Battle Operation 2. So yeah, Gundam blow up. It made so many merch, so many games, so many Gunpla, and is still going strong to this day. Now let's go to the last segment. So this is the closing remarks. This is how I feel about Gundam in the last segment. So, in summary, Gundam for its time is one of the most amazing and the best mecha shows ever. It's definitely one of the big three, and I acknowledge the mecha shows that came before it, like Mazinger and Ideon, and other shows that I can't remember, maybe Gao Gai Gar. So yes, it is one of the best of the genre. I especially suggest Gundam 79 to people maybe interested in Gundam, because it's a good starting point, yeah, unless you want to watch Origin. I wouldn't judge. I know that Gundam isn't for everyone. It is a mecha genre which not many people might have interest in, which is natural. But I say, give it a try. If you don't like it, you don't watch it. You try something else, maybe. But it's in my opinion, maybe people should at least give Gundam a chance within the mecha genre, and it's a gem of its time. It's decades old icon, and it's still beloved in the modern ages, and it's it's pretty amazing. I love Gundam, and I love this show, and I enjoyed all of the 43 episodes. Like, if I want to criticize, maybe I can criticize the animation, but that doesn't a big like the big critical point for me. So overall, I quite enjoyed it, and it was a 10 out of 10 show, I gotta say. So that was all of this first episode of Baghead's Gundam reaction, analyzation, experience, whatever you want to call it. And next one will be Zeta Gundam. I'm excited to see this show, and I can't wait to make a video on that. That was all from me, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you enjoy it, like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Tell in the comments how do you feel about this video, how what your opinions on original Gundam show is. If you watch Gundam by because of this video, share me your experiences, how you like show, and that is all from me. I see you guys next time.